This tutorial demonstrates the new features in version 2 of the NLP engine and VisualText. The main difference between version 1 and 2 is the knowledge base viewer, the new dictionary and KBB files, and great new features for building and maintaining NLP analyzers that feed one into another. And for this tutorial, I have created 2 analyzers to extract information from web pages of the 50 states in the United States, and from those web pages, create several dictionaries and a knowledge base. So let's go down here to the Analyzer viewer, and you're going to already see that there is something different in version 2, and that is you have folders. If you want to load this, you come over here and click on Load Example Analyzers, and these are the analyzers that come with the NLP++ VS Code language extension. So let's take a look at the NLP tutorials. You notice also a new icon, that's what I call the README icon. So if I click on this, you'll see a README icon that describes all the tutorials. It'll describe either in a folder what's below it, or in this case, you'll get a description for each of the tutorials. It's a README file, and it also has a link to the videos. But we're going to go down to tutorial 13, which itself has a folder, and if we look at that, you'll see the introduction, which I just talked about, and it has under it two analyzers, which are 13A and 13B. Each of these are being used together. So 13A feeds into 13B, and we're going to show you that today. And that's one of the powerful features, new features of version 2. So let's click on tutorial 13A and take a look at it. Let's take a look at the README file. And it says that the analyzer processes the URLs from this page. And so that's what I did. I got the HTML from that page. I put it here into the text area, and you can see that this is part of the page only, the part that has all the links. So it's got an anchor and the name and the link here. And I also know where that is located. And we break it down into lines first, and then we look for the href equals, and then put it together, and we'll create a bunch of URLs. So let's run this. We already did run it once, so let's run it again. So let's run this, and we'll click on the run button, and you'll see it running. And then in our output, we have our URLs file. And when we click on that, you're going to see that each line is a URL, a full address, a URL to the page for each of the states. Now that I've got those URLs, they are in my output area here. They're not up here in the text. I need them up here because I'm going to use them with this Python script to go fetch them. So we have some new things that make it much easier to build these chains of events that we have while we're building knowledge in analyzers. So I have one here you can see as copy file to analyzer text. So I'm going to take these URLs, I'm going to copy them up here. I can also copy them to a KB, but when I click on this, the nice thing is it's going to show me all of the analyzers where I can copy it to. And I'm going to copy it to itself because I'm copying it to the input area over here. So I'm going to choose the same analyzer, and you're going to see it pop up over here. Now you can see that it's over here as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this Python script, and this Python script is in fact full Python, and it will be run to go look at the URLs, take each line, go fetch the web page, and put it into a separate page for each of the states under a directory called HTML. That's what this Python does. Now, I don't want to run it here because it's a Python script. So the way you can run a different script is you click on the Python script, you come over here, you say run and debug, and it already knows that it's Python, so it's going to run. And you're going to see now it's downloading all of these files, and it's going to be putting them into an HTML directory. So you can watch that happen, and we'll wait here until that's finished. It's going to go through all 50, and it's going to write these web pages that we're going to process in our second analyzer. All the way to Texas. All right, it's done now, so I can go back to NLP++. And if I refresh this, I'm now going to see that it has the HTML files for every state. And you notice that they are, in fact, HTML, they're big files. but we're not going to process them here because this analyzer here for this analyzer is a very simple analyzer, which is simply to take this web page, get out the URLs, then we have this Python script to then generate this. So we need to use this for our next analyzer. Well, how do we move it to this analyzer? Well, again, with version 2, we've got some really great tools. Right here, you see this, again, arrow that says copy file or folder to another analyzer. So we're going to copy this to our second analyzer. So if I click on this, again, it'll give me a list of all the analyzers I have here. And I'm now going to choose 13B. And so there we are. I've chosen that. You can actually see down here that it's copied it. I'm going to clear this out. This gives you a really indication of what's really going on. Now I'm going to click on this, and you're going to notice that, in fact, there it is. It wasn't there before. Take my word on it. You can do it yourself. And so there are all the files. Now I've written a second analyzer, the Tutorial 13B analyzer, to take these files, process them, and build some knowledge in the knowledge base. Right now, all we have in this knowledge base are the files we need to just do our regular processing. So what we want to do is we want to end up here by using this analyzer and building knowledge here in the form of dictionary files and KBB files. And if we look at the init, which is what I usually always call my initialization part of the knowledge base, especially, is that I'm going to create some files. This is a global to say this is the knowledge base path that gets me here. And then there's the name of the file. This is a states dictionary file. I put that in a global variable. I'm doing abbreviations. I'm going to do states a knowledge base, the KBB file, and cities, a dictionary for cities. There's also a debug file then in case I do this. And then I open up all those files then to to be able to open up these files to be able to write into, so that as I'm parsing these things, I will write into them the knowledge that we need to put into our dictionaries and our knowledge base. So one of the things that we are going to do is to process the entire set of files. You can process one file like this. I can just process the one file, and you'll see output here, and you'll see the output come here. Right there, and you're going to see files come out here, things that I've created. That's just for one file. Now, I'm not going to talk about the one file because we're going to go across all the files, but we're going to talk about this Alabama file, for instance. And you can see the abbreviation is here, the dictionary for cities is here from that state, and you also see the state dictionary itself and the knowledge base for that state. So if you look closely here, we are taking the information, and this information is coming from this web page. This web page here has this information. If you want to look at something, you can say state abbreviation, and you can see that it's down here, and that abbreviation is found here. And so we're finding that with this analyzer. And we can do that. If you want to look at this, we can take a look at some of these by saying, okay, what's happening in the tags? We're going to look at the tags. You can see here, you can see all the TD tags that it's finding. That is the column tags for the tables. You can go further on and see abbreviations. Abbreviations, you're going to come down and see exactly where the abbreviation is down here. And you'll see that, the state abbreviation, and there you can see it right there. And that's the match for the abbreviations here, pass 13 right there. We can see area codes. We can do that. Let's keep going down. You can see those highlighted here. So these are the highlights of what we're matching. And you can see it's in these areas. The great thing about NLP++ is that you don't have to parse the entire HTML text. One of the problems with other ways of extracting information from HTML is you get a parser that parses the whole darn thing, and you got to go down all the way down and find those things. No, here we can look at what makes sense. How do you say, a trick to get to it? A shortcut that works perfectly fine, and that's why you see this is a much better and much easier analyzer to get at. So you can see all these things, cities as well. You can come down here and see the cities that are highlighted. So you can go through this at your leisure, clicking on each one of these, looking at the rules, finding out how that works. We're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk more about version 2 and how all this works. And thus, when we're going through all these, we get to finally the final part of this, and we're going to save the KB from what we've gotten, and we're going to also create the dictionary. So we create the abbreviation dictionary, we create the cities dictionary, we create the states dictionary, and we create the states KBB. And what's interesting, let's take a look at the KBB, because this is the information I decided that was interesting to put in our states knowledge base. This knowledge base in this KBB form is amazing, because this was the way we used to dump it, by doing display KBB, and it would display with the knowledge base, which is only in memory. Now the KBB files, which used to be only display, are now readable by the NLP engine. That's hugely powerful, and it's a big advancement with the NLP engine and VisualText. This is the way it used to be. This is the way the knowledge base looked before. It was impossible for us to visualize, and this is the way it is now. If I want to create a knowledge base, a KBB file, I can just click on this, and we're going to call it David's KBB, and you can just say the name KBB, and there it is. It gives you something there, and I can make whatever I want. If I want to make this, a parking lot, okay, parking lot, and under a parking lot I have spaces, okay, and I have type, spaces for parking lots. I can then put in trucks, cars, motorcycles. Okay, probably just put them singular. But again, this would be a knowledge base, and I can use this knowledge base if I had a knowledge base about something about parking lots, and let's say they're giving tickets out, or police are giving tickets out, or you are at a fair, you're at an event, and you're trying to keep track of where everything is, and you're writing about this, and we want to understand that text. Well, this will be a knowledge base, which you can then go look up. Oh, I found trucks. Where is that located? Oh, that's a space in a parking lot. Again, this is completely made up. And so it's not to be taken seriously. It's just to show you how easy it is. Now, if I wanted to put truck and I wanted to say, wheels equals 16, for instance, I want to put, I need to put a colon here to say that that's where the end of my concept is, and I can put attributes on it. I can even put all kinds of attributes on here. All the types of attributes you can have in the conceptual grammar, you can put here. And if you want to construct it internal memory and then dump it like we do, in this case, we save it to a file, save KB, we'll dump the KBB knowledge base, the states knowledge base into the KBB file. That's just how we get this. Then it dumps it automatically. You notice we have really nice I have really nice colorization. Each level for the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels have different colors. After that, it becomes white. So if I put in something like here and say this, you can see it's white, and after that. So that's just the way it makes it very easy. VisualText makes the text and the knowledge visual. It's the only way we humans really can understand the world at this level. So we have all these things going on. Now, the same thing happens with dictionaries. Now, the dictionaries are very interesting as well. You can see that here we have the word for the dictionary. We have an attribute called S, which is a special attribute. And we have another attribute called abbreviation, and that's AL. Well, this is a special one, and that's called a suggested attribute called S. And so what will happen is if you look this up in our dictionary tokenizer, if we change this to a dictionary tokenizer, it's now going to use all the dictionaries and look it up and use this and look up Alabama. If the text has Alabama, it's going to find it, and it's going to put it underneath an underscore state, a concept called the state, and this will be like this. So it'll look like in the tree, it'll look like this. State, Alabama. Okay, that's the way it will look. Now, if this didn't have that, it would just be Alabama, and we would have abbreviation, and that would be AL. So that would be in the tree. Again, this makes the tree. This shows it in the tree. So this dictionary now is very powerful. Not only that, it can do phrases, and we're going to take a look at that when we run everything. So we have the dict files, which are really easy for making dictionaries. In fact, if we look at the dictionary for the full English parser now, you can see that we don't have all those giant files. We used to have a lot of attribute files in here. Now it's all in all.dict. And so if you look at this, it's got the entire English dictionary. How many words does it have in there? It's got 191,000 words in it, and it's got the part of speech for each one of these. So if you put this in here now into your knowledge base, if you are building an analyzer, you can put the entire English dictionary in. And not only that, we're starting to include these knowledge bases again in version 2. So if I click on English dictionary, I can put in a dictionary just for the adjectives, for the adverbs, the conjunctions, the determiners, the full English dictionary, which you see here, interjections, nouns, etc. We're going to have more things in there as well. We're going to have things like numbers and dates and those kinds of things, like January, February. We also will have in the future, we also have stop words. So you can come in here and put in, let's see, Chinese stop words. So that will literally, any of these characters in a Chinese text are going to be put under the concept stop. So this will give you a stop words for Chinese. Okay, so let's go back to our tutorial. And we're going to, again, look at our tutorial. Now, we've generated this. Now, one of the things that you do often when you are building these analyzers and you're building knowledge, this is kind of done. But while I was building it, things don't work out so well. Or you maybe want to test it, the dictionary, and read it and actually test it. But in this case, we don't. And while we're developing, I have this new icon called Clean Files. So if you click on Clean Files, you can clean all the files but the KB files. You can clean all the files that are not valid KBB files, or not a KB file or KBB or dict file. Like sometimes we'll put in, like here we have a debug file, or we'll have something else, and you can click all those. I usually just do clear them all out except for the KBB, and you're going to see, in fact, it clears them out. Again, you can look at they're all documented here because they're done in a separate thread there. So that's the done, and then I can run it again. Now we're going to run it on the entire set of files. Now in this analyzer, you can tell the analyzer to do different things when it's doing a whole directory. We have a global variable calls is dir run, is directory run. If you are doing a directory run and it's the first file, then we can do certain things, like we'll remove the children to start all over. Or here we have, we want to write into the file the first time, and then after we get to the second time, if it's not the first file, we want to append to these files. So we'll open up these as appends. So that's one of the things you can do. And if you look in the final, we also find here that if it's the last file, then we go through and then we save the KB, because we're accumulating the KB as we go. So we're going to take and run this and see what happens here. Again, I'm not going to talk about the details. You can examine this on your own. You can use this as a model, whatever. So let's go run it on the HTML, the entire directory. So this is going to run on each one of these files, accumulating knowledge in the knowledge base, and then also writing into the dictionaries, so that we are going to not only get the information for Alabama, but all the states all together. So let's run it. Click on the run button. And it says, if there's more than 10 files, I ask you, do you want to turn off the log files? Log files make it take a lot longer. That means it's going to write a tree for each one of these, and etc. And that actually slows it down a lot. So I give you the option right away to turn off the logs. And if you do, then you can say, okay, I'm going to run it. So let's run it on all the files. Here it goes. Doesn't take too long, actually, because again, the NLP engine runs across an entire directory. So it runs on the directory, and there you go. You can see it's run on everything. You don't see any output because it's not a specific file, it's a folder. But if I come down here, this is what we want to see. Let's take a look at the abbreviation dictionary. Now we have an abbreviation dictionary that is for all the abbreviations. So I could have this and put this in the library, and anybody could pick it up for abbreviations for states for English. And you can notice that it will make it a state. It'll give it the attribute that it is an abbreviation, and then it'll give the actual full state name. You notice that the full state names in dictionaries, anything that you want all together, you have to put in quotes here. So this is a dictionary and is usable, and I just simply built it. I got this from the web page. I got it from the knowledge base, the web page and built it and threw it into this file, and is now a dictionary. Let's take a look at the cities. Now, all these cities were from the 5 biggest cities on each state. They had the 5 biggest cities. So I decided I'd make a city dictionary, and here you can see Jersey City, and it'll put under that city, and it'll be the state New Jersey. So again, I made a dictionary. So if we want to have a dictionary of the 5 biggest cities in each of the states, we have one right there. Here we have down here the states. Now, again, I'm thinking, well, we've got the states. Let's make a dictionary for the states so that I don't have to make a dictionary for that. So I can put this in here, run it on a text, and these will already be marked. These will be marked as an underscore state, the concept state with North Carolina under it. And it also has its abbreviation there for kicks and giggles. And finally, the entire knowledge that interests me, not all the knowledge from that page. This is just the knowledge from that I was interested in. And you can see here, Arizona, Alabama, there's the abbreviation, there's the letters for it. Here are the area codes, the time zones, the 5 largest cities, the capital for it, knowledge. So if you have Montgomery come up, you can look up and say, oh, that's the capital of Alabama. You can look it up. You can have a function in NLP++ that can go find if a city is a capital. These are things that, again, you would use for a specific task. This is just me giving you a demonstration of how to do this. This is a knowledge base file. If you include this state.kbb anywhere, in fact, if I move that here and I move it to any of these analyzers, it will be there. And if you have the dictionary tokenizer on, it will look those up and mark those. You imagine with time, as we keep building and building and building dictionaries and knowledge bases, and with those, using those analyzers to do specific digital tasks, digital reader tasks. That is, we build digital human readers with NLP++. You can see this is a snowballing, bootstrapping thing. As we build it and more comes available, it's going to be easier and easier. So that's how the analyzers work together. I'm going to bring that page up. You can just go down here. We have these 2 analyzers. This created analyzers that I'm going to be able to use and put in so that you will be able to right click here, go to library KB and get the knowledge base for US states. You can come here and get in the English dictionary, the US states dictionary if you want, and be able to just include those for your analyzer. So that's pretty much the version 2 of NLP++ engine and also VisualText. This is very powerful. It's very exciting, and I hope you are excited as me to start building knowledge dictionaries, knowledge bases, and analyzers to do things that we have never been able to do before. Thank you.